Good afternoon. Welcome to RSBN Live. I'm Robert McNeely. We are awaiting President Trump, who will be joined by First Lady Melania Trump to participate in a bill signing. It's the Take It Down Act. And some on the far left, the globalists, said that Ms. Melania Trump had nothing to do with this, but she ushered in the legislation that led to this bill signing today, perhaps a cornerstone moment for her Be Best campaign. Now, if you look at this, Senator Ted Cruz has really led the charge on this from Texas. High school students, among others, were having those deep fakes happening and their faces put onto pornographic images, harming their reputations, potentially for going to college, getting hired for a local job, amongst many other things, including terrible PTSD as a result. So this is really good bipartisan legislation that will be signed by the President of the United States roughly 1 hour from now, and you will have it here live on the right side of history on a beautiful day in Washington, D.C. There you have it, 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. The White House, it's your house, a beautiful museum, residence of the First Family, and also where the executive branch does its business, working overtime for you, the American people. Thank you to my colleague, Mr. Matthew Alvarez, a great broadcast this morning, just detailing everything happening with Caroline Leavitt, the great White House press secretary, giving another great press briefing today in case you did not keep it on this morning. We'll also be with you later tonight as President Trump attends a dinner. So nonstop coverage of your 47th president, your 50th vice president, the 119th Congress as well. And in between our two broadcasts thus far today, Mr. Matthew Alvarez had the opportunity to interview Kim Bright of BrightCore, a wonderful organization sponsoring us right here at the network with their premier Kimchi One, a great supplement, non-GMO, no chemicals, just good health for your gut. We'll toss into that interview now so you know how you can keep healthy in the middle of your gut.
And joining us now on Right Side Broadcasting Network is the founder of BrightCore, Kim Bright. Kim, thank you so much again for joining us on Right Side.
Great to be back. Thank you for having me.
It's always good to talk with you. It's always good to kind of reminisce about how great MAGA is and to talk about MAHA as well. But let's talk about President Trump as well. He mentioned recently in a press conference about his friend using Ozempic, referring to it as, quote unquote, the fat drug. What are your thoughts about that?
Well, I thought it was pretty funny because he made the offside remark of, yeah, and I told him it doesn't work. I thought that was pretty funny. And the guy was worried about, what it cost and everything. But obesity rates, they're just gaining constantly in this country. And, I think that, people are turning to those drugs and for the ease of it, for the comfort of it. And most people have been trained, whether it's from their doctor, whether it's Big Pharma or the Big Pharma commercials on TV. I think they've just been trained into thinking that, oh, I have this problem, let me use a drug. And, drugs only affect symptoms. So, they only are going to get another symptom out of that symptom eventually. There's better ways to deal with it than that.
Yeah, and I've seen a lot of other ways as well. But specifically, we're hearing, obviously obesity rates in America are higher than ever, and medications like Ozempic have become incredibly popular, to your point. But while it may, help with appetite control and weight loss, it's not without risks, of course. So what concerns are you seeing emerge around long-term use of Ozempic?
Well, first and foremost, the most common thing that people experience are GI problems. That's gastrointestinal problems. What am I talking about there? I'm talking about nausea. I'm talking about acid reflux. I'm talking about, things like diarrhea, constipation, heartburn. These things happen because these drugs slow down the digestion, and then sulfur builds up, and now you have rotten egg breath, rotten egg burps, rotten egg gas. You've got bloating, dizziness, jitteriness, mood swings. You have allergic reactions. Maybe you have rashes, hives. People have trouble breathing. Then we're starting to see, if people have fatigue, they have dehydration, starting to see problems with kidneys, gallstones, pancreatitis. It can even lead to thyroid cancer. And what happens is a lot of people get what's called stomach paralysis, where their stomach can't digest anymore. And what happens when they get the food down there, it doesn't break down properly, Matthew. And then they're sending these large particles of food that should have been broken down completely by now into the intestinal tract, and it causes pain and it has a hard time getting out. So, then on top of that, we lose muscle as we age, but when you take these drugs, what you're losing in weight is about 40% on average muscle, not fat. And so that's a problem. And then, in some studies they did with animals, it actually showed that when they took these drugs, they had tumors appear. So read the warning labels, people.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely something that we should always do when it comes to any kind of medication. But let's talk specifically about the gut. There's growing evidence that our gut health plays a major role in obesity. And then can you explain the connection between the gut microbiome and body weight?
Well, yes. When you have a bad gut microbiome, where you have more bad pathogens than good, then you have problems, because these pathogens such as yeast, molds, fungus, parasites, they crave sugar. They crave carbohydrates that turn into sugar. And so they're going to give you these cravings, and you're going to be constantly wanting to eat this. So your weight goes up, and then you become sluggish, and your weight continues to go up. You must concentrate on balancing out the good guys from the bad guys in the gut microbiome. And that's why gut health is so important to losing weight.
But then also, you've mentioned things about these clinical studies that show that kimchi actually significantly reduces body fat in overweight participants. So specifically, though, how does kimchi provide a natural solution for healthy weight?
Well, kimchi is a fermented food that has been used for centuries in Korea, and it is loaded with very special, unique probiotics, these good bacteria. And because of that, it goes in and can kill off these other pathogens to balance the gut out. So your body is functioning normally, and you're not going to gain weight like you would. You're not going to have those cravings, Matthew. So it changes the whole spectrum of the gut health.
Exactly. And I was actually speaking to my wife the other day. I said, have you heard of this kimchi thing? I mean, I've heard of it, but have you? And she's like, yeah, it's a probiotic. And she was going off about it and saying how great it is. Literally, that conversation happened just last week. So, people are really realizing that this kimchi product is amazing. And so you have it, I guess the kimchi one is the actual product that you guys have. Is that correct?
Yes, because we realize that people won't eat this every day like they do in Korea. They eat it every day. A lot of the times they eat it every meal because of the taste and the flavor. And because it has over 900 friendly probiotics and a lot of unique strains that aren't found in any other fermented food, we were like, how can we get people to use this every day? They don't like the smell, they don't like the taste. So we came up with a way of cold processing so we could take the actual kimchi fermented food and turn it into a capsule. You take 3 of them a day, and that's your serving size, and you're able to use it daily, which is very important because we're bombarded with pathogens when we're breathing, just being, living every day, from the air, from the water, and from the foods we're eating. So we must protect our gut microbiome, and Kimchi One can do that conveniently every single day in a capsule.
Well, it sounds like it's a good alternative to things like Ozempic because, kimchi being safe and natural, effective, of course, it's a powerful solution. It looks like, from my perspective, I know Robert McNeely, he actually purchased some of the Kimchi One product. I'd like to try it as well because, my wife's talking about this stuff. You're talking about, everybody's saying, get this gut health taken care of. And I'm actually literally working on losing 25 pounds by July 15th. So I'm doing what I can do. But something like this, I think, is going to help. Well, it sounds like it's definitely going to help.
It will help. I mean, there's so many studies that show people's waistlines come in, they lose body mass, they lose weight, because when you get those bad guys, those pathogens down, and you don't have those cravings anymore, it's going to change the way you eat. It's going to change the way you feel. So it's very, very important to have this on a daily basis. And it is the king of fermented food out there, the king of probiotics.
That's awesome. That is really awesome. Can you share with us any exclusive offers you have for RSBN viewers?
Oh, sure. So what we've got today is go to mybrightcore.com/RSBN, and we'll give you up to 25%, or we'll give you 25% off with that code RSBN, all in capitals, or call in. I really prefer people call in because then we can talk directly to you and make sure this is for you and good for you. We'll give you up to 50% off when you call in. Plus, we're going to give free shipping as well. So call 888-722 0936. That's 888-722-0936. And the first 100 callers, Matthew, we're going to also give them a free bottle of vitamin D3. So again, that number, 888-722-0936.
Also, so mybrightcore.com/RSBN, correct?
RSBN, right.
Awesome. So last time we spoke, Kim, we talked about making America healthy again and making America great again. And we talked about President Trump. And it really was an inspirational reaction that you had, speaking so eloquently from the heart. You became a little bit emotional. Can you talk to us about what that emotions, where that's coming from when it comes to all of these things that we deal with in this life, but we have someone like President Trump that's really trying to help us out and save the country?
Well, that comes because I know he's genuine, and I know that I had a near-death experience. He had a near-death experience. Someone wasn't trying to kill me. I was trying to kill myself with alcohol. So it's kind of similar, but nowhere near what he has suffered. But when you experience a near-death experience, it changes you. And I know that. And so I kind of feel that, again, in myself, when I see that, or talk about him. And he's so courageous, and he went through so much in his first term that he now knows how deep the swamp is and how wide it is. And he knows all these different players that he wasn't aware of before were swamp critters. And, he's got to get him out of there. And it's not an easy job. So he has persistence. And I know he's got God on his side. And RFK Jr., too. He is such a great fighter as well. And I'm so happy he's there because I really believe, he's got God on his side too. And I think it's going to take this whole team of people that are fighters and they persevere. And, like Bongino and Patel, all these people. I mean, he's surrounded in PM Bondi. You've got to have a team of people that will persevere, believe in God, and are going and want to get the job done. And most of these people, they could be doing other things, but they're out there and they're trying to clear out this swamp. So that's where that comes from.
A huge 100% amen. Kim Bright, the founder of BrightCore, thank you again for joining us on Right Side Broadcasting Network.
Thank you.
Thank you to my colleague Matthew Alvarez for conducting such a great interview with Kim Bright. She is quite a bright lady, no pun intended, but thank you for a wonderful product and for sponsoring us here on the right side of history. And it's so true. Getting that gut health in line is so important because it can get rid of that brain fog and that tiredness that right around this time of the day, especially if you've been working since early morning, you can start feeling that sluggish nature to things. And things like Kimchi 1 can get you back on track. But again, also working out, going to the gym, also being involved in a church community, all things good for your support system that starts right in your heart, your head, and in your gut. So important to watch those things as you go day to day as we are making America healthy again and making America great again. So momentarily from now, roughly 45 minutes, is scheduled for President Trump to sign into law the Take It Down Act. And this was a priority of First Lady Melania Trump really since day one, coming back into the White House on January 20th of this year. This Be Best initiative, which passed Congress in the first 100 days of the Trump administration, a very bipartisan bill after Mrs. Trump gave momentum and support to it. Prior to its passage, Mrs. Trump held a Capitol Hill roundtable on online protection and the Take It Down Act on March 3rd of this year. This was with members of Congress, survivors of non-consensual intimate imagery of families, advocates for online protection as well. Some individuals who are taking advantage of, whether it be minors or even adults, with this kind of promiscuous crime going on online. The following night, the president mentioned the bill in his address to a joint session of Congress, if you caught that. Also a great moment when he said, we did not need all the stuff that AutoPen was talking about. Simply, we needed a new president, especially when it came to securing the border. But the First Lady continued to engage with members of Congress on this bill throughout its passage in the House Energy and Commerce Committee on April 9th of this year, and on the final passage in the United States House of Representatives on April 28th of 2025. So congratulations to First Lady Melania Trump, Senator Ted Cruz, also Senator Amy Klobuchar on the other side of the aisle, who worked hard diligently to get this passed. If you watched that roundtable, could almost make your blood boil just to listen to the testimony of people who suffered so much, especially those Texas students that were eyewitnesses to this, who had their college applications deferred or completely rejected, also trying to apply to different jobs because of all this stuff that was happening online to them. Completely unfair, and now it will be addressed legally with President Trump signing the Take It Down Act into law. Now, what are they saying about this one big beautiful bill? President Donald Trump's one big beautiful bill is a once-in-a-generation opportunity to make good on the promises Republicans have made, especially on the campaign trail last year. And that's why advocacy groups and other stakeholders are coming out in droves to urge Congress to immediately pass the landmark bill. Here's what they're saying about the one big beautiful bill. The American Exploration and Production Council CEO Ann Bradbury said, on behalf of America's leading independent producers of oil and natural gas, AXPC urges all House Republicans to pass the budget reconciliation and advance President Trump's agenda to unleash American energy. This legislation takes decisive steps towards improving our nation's energy landscape by repealing the Biden-era methane tax, unlocking oil and gas developments on federal lands, and alleviating regulatory pain points for the American people that have stymied and built out American energy in the past. So this is places like Anwar and Alaska, for the most part, all of these big federal lands, so important for drilling for oil, liquid gold under our feet. Passing this bill is essential to secure America's energy dominance throughout smart and durable reforms. And speaking of gold, thank you to our sponsors at Colonial Metals Group. Paul Stone, the CEO of this organization, really would like you to scan that QR code now. We would as well, to shield your savings today for retirement, for those big purchases. And if you go to freegoldguide.com/RSBN, this no obligation guide details just everything you need to know when it comes to gold and silver, regardless of who's in charge, regardless of your style of governance, regardless of this one big beautiful bill. It's so important to financially secure your future. And that can be with properties, assets, 401ks, and IRAs. But gold and silver, really those tangible metals that have stood the test of time. Again, freegoldguide.com/RSBN, your go-to for everything gold and silver. So do not delay. Why don't you reach out today and find out how the best in the business, Colonial Metals Group, can help you to secure your financial future. Thank you to them. Also to All Family Pharmacy. President Trump recently signed a powerful executive order to lower prescription drug prices across the country. This is a major step in the fight for affordable health care. But while the system drags its feet, one pharmacy is not waiting. That's allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN, stepping up now to support that vision and put control into the hands of the American people, with a summer sale running through the end of June. So right now, you can get 20% off everything site-wide. No insurance needed. This company works with licensed doctors in all 50 states, and your prescriptions are shipped fast and directly to your door. Whether you're ordering ivermectin, hydrochloroquine, methylene blue, or other antibiotics, emergency medical kits, or your daily medications. They have over 200 at this great online site. It's now time to stack up in case there's an emergency. If you believe in medical freedom and being prepared, those are, of course, most of the important things these days. This is the pharmacy for you. So head over to allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN. Use code RSBN20, that's RSBN20, for 20% off the entire order. Again, allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN, code RSBN20. Take control of your health today, and let's make America healthy again, as we are dissecting all of the latest news in MAGA world as President Trump is about to sign the Take It Down Act. The First Lady of the United States, Melania Trump, will be on hand, someone who pushed so hard for this advocacy, and will be participating in this bill signing forthcoming in roughly 40 minutes from now. Numbers USA saying about the big, beautiful bill: for decades, Congress has promised to secure the border and failed to deliver. The House Reconciliation Bill delivers on the promise of building the border wall, 10,000 ICE officers to hit the ground running, detention beds, historic funding for Customs and Border Patrol, and a tax on money illegal aliens send out of the country to their home nations. The Trump administration needs this funding to deport illegal aliens, millions of whom entered the country over the last 4 years. The American people voted in mass numbers last election in order to secure the border and to return law and order to the United States under constitutional governance once again. Congress must not fail them. Airlines for America saying A4A strongly supports the One Big Beautiful Bill Act and applauds the inclusion of a critical investment of $12.5 billion in modernizing the Federal Aviation Administration's air traffic facilities. This is something that Sean Duffy, the Transportation Secretary, has been so passionate about, and roughly 2 weeks ago, we detailed that announcement for you here at the network. A4A, this is Airlines for America, has been sounding the alarm about ATC staffing shortages and antiquated equipment such as copper wires and floppy disks. Given the challenges facing the air traffic system, these funds are vital for the down payment on updating the technology that guides 27,000 flights, 2.7 million passengers, and 61,000 tons of cargo every single day in and out of the United States of America, all while driving 5% of the nation's GDP. The legislation also makes smart strategic investments in Customs and Border Protection personnel and training for the aviation workforce of tomorrow, while supporting the American energy independence and dominance in aviation fuel production. We encourage the House to pass this legislation and deliver on the Department of Transportation's plan to help keep our skies safe and efficient. Modernizing our national airspace system is necessary, and passing the One Big Beautiful Bill will do just that, ensuring that the United States has a world-class aviation system. From the National Federation of Independent Business, Senior Vice President for Advocacy, Adam Temple, states, on behalf of NFIB, the nation's leading small business advocacy organization, I write in support of the committee's legislative proposal to comply with reconciliation instructions contained within the concurrent resolution on the budget for fiscal year 2025. So he is asking, as written, this is one of the most pro-small business plans and pieces of legislation in tax history. So he would like to see it passed. Also, we have CTIA, the Wireless Association President and CEO, Ajit Pai. The wireless industry urges swift passage of the One Big Beautiful Act. The critical spectrum and tax provisions in this legislation will allow the wireless industry to invest, create jobs, and propel economic growth and secure America's job and edge in innovation. So amazing things really happening here for this one big, beautiful bill. And President Trump will be signing another big, beautiful bill today. Not that name, it's the Take It Down Act that First Lady Melania Trump worked so hard on to pass over the course of early on in this beautiful administration since January 20th, her Be Best initiative, bringing people together like Senator Ted Cruz of Texas and Amy Klobuchar of Minnesota, bipartisan in nature. And we are excited to see this bill signing ceremony in roughly 35 minutes with the president and First Lady. Thank you to mypillow.com/RSBN. The Giza Dream Sheet Sale. The bed sheets going only for $49.98 right now. Any color, any size. Promo code RSBN. Call today. Do not delay. 800-836-7566. Support Mike Lindell and RSBN by shopping now at mypillow.com/RSBN and saving with code RSBN. The Giza Dream Sheet Sale, only $49.98 for you. Any color, any size. Thank you to Mr. Mike Lindell. He is a purveyor of the First Amendment, constitutional principles, election integrity, and one of the finest American-made businesses. All of the good things happening really from around the world, those Giza Dream Sheets coming from the Mediterranean, but produced right here in his beautiful facilities in Minnesota. So thank you again, Mike Lindell at mypillow.com/RSBN. Save with code now, RSBN. And as we look at the White House today, we are preparing for President Trump to sign the Take It Down Act, and many people commenting on the big, beautiful bill, encouraging the passage of that, whether it be from public or private entities. With job creator CEO Alfredo Ortiz, House Republicans' big, beautiful bill, the reconciliation package, is exactly what the country needs to jumpstart the economy and guarantee the safety and prosperity of the American people for decades to come. It helps people of all backgrounds and businesses, but especially small businesses, the backbone of the economy, by making permanent the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act that you saw dating back to the first term in late 2017 when that beautiful act was passed. It increases the small business tax deduction used by 27 million entrepreneurs annually from 20% to 23%. A tax cut job creators network has long been the leading voice in all of this good tax reform for the bill that also restores 100% immediate expensing, allowing businesses to write off investments, expansion, and modernization. It will empower Main Street to expand, hire, raise wages, and reinvent their communities while also providing significant tax relief for the ordinary folks out there. All Republicans should unite to support this historic reconciliation bill. We need tax cuts now. Business Roundtable President and COO Kristen Silverberg mentioning that the Business Roundtable strongly supports the House Budget Reconciliation Bill. This important legislation ensures a more competitive, pro-growth tax system, secures our borders, and takes the necessary steps of raising the debt ceiling. We urge members of the House Budget Committee to swiftly pass this measure. Small Business and Entrepreneurship Council President and CEO Karen Kerrigan, the SBC Council strongly supports this one big, beautiful bill and urges every member of the United States House to vote in support of this economically powerful package. The one big, beautiful bill provides expansion for entrepreneurs and small businesses with the tools and policy environment they need to invest in their businesses and the workplace, to innovate and strengthen their firms, and to lead America's economic resurgence. So you have many private people, whether they be CEOs, CFOs, business leaders, really getting behind this big, beautiful bill, those in the public and private sector. Also, in case you missed it today, President Trump really posting on Truth Social in the last 30 minutes, just completed my 2-hour call with President Vladimir Putin of Russia. I believe it went very well, and Russia and Ukraine will immediately start negotiations towards a ceasefire and, more importantly, an end to the war. An end is in all caps. The conditions for that will be negotiated between the two parties. It can only be done that way because they know the details of a negotiation that no one else would be aware of. The tone and spirit of the conversation were excellent. If it wasn't, I would say so now rather than later. Russia wants to do large-scale trade with the United States when the catastrophic bloodbath is over, and I agree. President Trump also continuing with his statement saying there is a tremendous opportunity for Russia to create massive amounts of jobs and wealth. Its potential is unlimited. Likewise, Ukraine can be a great beneficiary on trade, and in the process of rebuilding its country, negotiations between Russia and Ukraine will begin immediately. I have so informed President Vladimir Zelensky of Ukraine, Ursula von der Leyen, the President of the European Commission, President Emmanuel Macron of France, and Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni of Italy, Chancellor Friedrich Merz of Germany, and President Alexander Stubb of Finland during a call with me immediately after the call with President Putin of Russia. The Vatican, as represented by the Pope, has stated that it would be very interested in hosting the negotiations. Let the process begin. We also know, of course, Vice President Vance, Secretary of State Marco Rubio attending Pope Leo XIV's inaugural Mass yesterday, if you turned in for that incredible coverage right here on the right side of history. And we'll have more of a press gaggle on the other side of this commercial featuring the Vice President of the United States addressing the excitement surrounding Rome, Italy, the Eternal City, home of the Vatican, one of the smallest nations in the world, but now home to Pope Leo XIV. And again, a quick commercial break for you, but stick with us here on the right side of history as President Trump and First Lady Melania Trump to participate in the signing of the Take It Down Act. Stick with us. Back momentarily from now.
You've heard how hard it can be to get access to medications like ivermectin, all the things they don't want you to take because they're actually effective and they don't cost all that much, right? You've seen that one before. So it's critical to have something like that on hand for any emergency and to be prepared in a time of crisis. And that's why I want to tell you about All Family Pharmacy. They're cutting through the nonsense and they make it easy to get hard to find medications when you need them most. They'll provide the prescription, no hoops to jump through, no waiting room, no hassle, and they deliver it right to your door. All Family Pharma even lets you order in bulk so you can stay ahead of the curve. Head over to allfamilypharmacy.com for 10% off your first order. Again, allfamilypharmacy.com. It's simple. Get the 10% savings. Be prepared.
I'm Elmer Heinrich, the 91-year-old formulator of Immuno 150, an incredible nutritional supplement. There's nothing like it. Now, Immuno 150 is different because it contains 70 plant-derived minerals and 80 other nutrients. Dr. Linus Pauling, known for vitamin C, was instrumental in convincing me to get into the mineral business in 1983. He said the world is sick due to a lack of minerals in topsoil. He said the body needs 60 minerals, but the average food and supplement has no more than 12. That's the reason for Immuno 150. Since its inception, it's had a powerful impact on the lives of thousands of people who could not get any help from various supplements they took or their doctor. Now I suggest you try Immuno 150 to see what 70 minerals, CoQ10, and 80 nutrients can do for you. Look at the 2 videos on our website. Millions have. Now consider placing an order for Immuno 150 online or call our toll-free number. I know you'll be glad you did.
And for immediate release from the office of the Vice President, J.D. Vance meets with Pope Leo XIV and Archbishop Gallagher. This morning in Vatican City, Vice President J.D. Vance met privately with His Holiness Pope Leo XIV. The Pope also held expanded meetings with the Vice President, Secretary of State Marco Rubio, and the United States delegation. Following his meetings with the Pope, the Vice President met with Archbishop Paul Richard Gallagher, the Secretary for Relations with States and International Organizations. The Vice President and Archbishop Gallagher discussed religious freedom, the persecution of Christians around the world, and his shared commitment of President Trump and Pope Leo XIV to stop the killing in the Ukraine and the Middle East. So some exciting things happening on the right side of history. A pleasure to be with you. I'm Robert McNeely as we await President Trump and First Lady Melania Trump to participate in the Take It Down Act, the signing of this bill in roughly 25 minutes. We also have the video of the press gaggle from Air Force Two. Vice President Vance on his way back to the United States, and we'll hear what he has to say to members of the press.
I want to stand right in front of here.
Right in front of here. Okay. Hey guys, how are you? Good. So let me just say a couple words. First of all, we're thrilled to join the First Papal Mass with First American Pope, Pope Leo XIV. He and I had a very good conversation with Secretary Rubio this morning. We talked about a number of diplomatic issues, and I think the Vatican, in particular the Pope, is going to be a great advocate of world peace, and obviously I serve a president I think is a great advocate of world peace, and so we're going to find some very important things to work together on. So I appreciate you guys coming. I hope you guys had fun. Happy to take a few questions before we actually hit the road here.
I just have a question. So
Yeah.
Trump is supposed to talk with President Zelensky today, and I'm just curious, where does the U.S. stand in terms of negotiation? Is the U.S. still open to walking away from negotiations? Or are you guys committed to seeing it through? If, you don't
Yeah. Well, look, I'd say we're more than open to walking away. The president's supposed to talk to President Putin of Russia and President Zelensky as well, and I'm sure he'll talk to a number of world leaders today because he always does that. But look, the president's been very clear. This is not the United States is not going to spin its wheels here. We want to see outcomes. And the first major outcome that we wanted to see, which we were glad about, is that we wanted the Russians and the Ukrainians to put a real peace proposal on the table. What would you need to do in order to stop fighting? That happened. The second thing is they needed to agree to direct talks with one another. These sides hadn't talked in years. We thought that was a disgrace. That has now happened. But now, the talks have been proceeding for a little while. We realize there's a bit of an impasse here. And I think the president's going to say to President Putin, look, are you serious? Are you real about this? Because the proposal from the United States has always been, look, there are a lot of economic benefits to thawing relations between Russia and the rest of the world, but you're not going to get those benefits if you keep on killing a lot of innocent people. So if you're willing to stop the killing, the United States is willing to be a partner for peace. That's been the proposal to the Russians, to the Ukrainians, and frankly, to nations and other hot spots around the world. I won't prejudge the president's conversation. I actually was just on the phone with him. I know he's looking forward to it, and I wish him all the best. I think he's the right guy to negotiate for the country, and I'm excited about it.
Mr. Vice President, Axios is reporting that you decided against a visit to Israel after this trip because of the Israeli military's expansion of their operation in Gaza. Is that accurate, or is there a reason for not moving on to Israel?
Well, I think there's a lot of overstatement there. I haven't seen the story, to be clear, so I don't want to speak to the details. But the simple reason is we thought about going to Israel. We also thought about going to a couple of other countries that the president would like me to visit here in the next few months. Logistically, it was just a little bit too hard on basic things like who the hell's going to take care of our kids if we take another couple of days overseas, but on some more serious things like how do we provide security, how do we make sure that we get all the assets that we need in order to do the right official delegation. So I'm sure we'll visit Israel sometime in the future, but not today.
And just another question on Russia and Ukraine. From the administration's point of view, what seems to be the obstacle in trying to get this ceasefire deal?
I don't know. It's a good question, but there are so many different things that are obstacles that it's hard to pinpoint one in particular. Look, I think one open question is Vladimir Putin serious about negotiating peace, right? He has made some concessions. He has taken some serious steps in these conversations, but we feel like, we're at a point where we're hitting an impasse, and that's why the president is talking to him on the phone. I think, honestly, that President Putin, he doesn't quite know how to get out of the war. If you think about this, he's got 1 million men under arms. He's re-engineered his entire economy. What used to be manufacturing facilities making products for people to use in their civilian life, they're now making tank shells and artillery shells and drones. And so this is a little bit of guess, but I think the president would agree that part of this is I'm not sure that Vladimir Putin has a strategy himself for how to unwind the war, of course, that's been going on for a few years now. And I think there's also just a little bit of, look, there's fundamental mistrust between Russia and the West. It's one of the things the president thinks is frankly stupid, that we should be able to move beyond the mistakes that have been made in the past, but that takes two to tango. I know the president's willing to do that, but if Russia's not willing to do that, then we're eventually just going to have to say, this is not our war. It's Joe Biden's war. It's Vladimir Putin's war. It's not our war. We're going to try to end it, but if we can't end it, we're eventually going to say, you know what, that was worth a try, but we're not doing it anymore.
Last question. Oh, no, you said.
Speaking of Joe Biden, sir, do you have any thoughts on
Sure.
his diagnosis?
Yeah, look, I mean, first of all, of course, we wish the best for the former president's health. And, it sounds pretty serious, but hopefully he makes the right recovery. Like I will say, whether the right time to have this conversation is now or at some point in the future, we really do need to be honest about whether the former president was capable of doing the job. And that's no, that you can separate the desire for him to have the right health outcome with the recognition that whether it was doctors or whether there were staffers around the former president, I don't think he was able to do a good job for the American people. And that's not politics. That's not because I disagreed with him on policy. That's because I don't think that he was in good enough health. In some ways, I blame him less than I blame the people around him. And why didn't the American people have a better sense of his health picture? Why didn't the American people have more accurate information about what he was actually dealing with? This is serious stuff. And this is the guy who carries around the nuclear football for the world's largest nuclear arsenal. This is not child's play, and we can pray for good health, but also recognize that if you're not in good enough health to do the job, you shouldn't be doing the job. Okay. Thank you, guys. Have a safe trip. See ya. You too.
I'd like to echo the comments of the Vice President, J.D. Vance, in regards to the former President Joe Biden, and really put blame on his wife, Dr. Jill Biden, as well, for carrying this on. We wish him health. We wish everyone health, especially here at the network. But to hide that all, conceal it from the American people, it was an absolute travesty over the last 4 years. And thank God that this administration is in place to be the most transparent. We've seen it in real time. We've seen it nearly on a daily basis. President Trump will create swearing-in ceremonies, bill signings into press gaggles, press conferences, and you'll see that perhaps right here as staff and press assembling just outside on the Rose Garden, and that is right off of the West Wing, the Oval Office there. So a beautiful day in Washington, D.C. at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. Thank you to our sponsors on the right side of history, angelpaste.com. Experience the miracle today, whether it's the original Miracle Cream, the vitamin B infused, non-GMO, no chemicals. Great for your skin. It will leave it glowing. There's also the orange option filled with immunity boosters and vitamin C. Again, non-GMO, no chemicals, only good for you and your skin to absorb. Also a natural mosquito repellent and the beautiful facial spray for guys and gals. So really, if you want to paint the town red and get ready for looking great on your night out or even a night in with family and friends, experience the miracle today. Angelpaste.com. They are Christian owned. They operate out of Spring, Texas, the Lone Star State. And that's not too far from the Gulf of America and the Houston Metroplex, a big booming area full of fun and love. It's a great place to live in the United States, and they are focused on hiring veterans and focused on sharing this great miracle with you. Angelpaste.com. Thanks for sponsoring us on the right side of history. If you're just tuning in now on this beautiful afternoon at the White House, we are awaiting President Trump and First Lady Melania Trump to participate in the Take It Down Act bill signing that will be coming roughly in the next 15 minutes or so. Stay tuned for that. As you see the seal of the President of the United States, that podium right there, we will likely be taking comments from the President as well in regards to this very important legislation that Melania Trump, the First Lady, has worked so hard and so diligently on to pass in a bipartisan way with people like Senator Ted Cruz of Texas, Senator Amy Klobuchar of Minnesota, working hard to get this across the finish line. There's also the big, beautiful bill that is being strongly encouraged to pass by a number of business leaders in the country, including National Stone, Sand, and Gravel Association interim CEO Michelle Stanley. The NSSGA appreciates that the One Big Beautiful bill includes aggregates industry priorities, such as a bonus depreciation, the research and development tax credit, small business deductions, keeping the corporate tax rate at the status quo, and protecting percentage depletion and estate taxes. Additionally, we appreciate the committee's commitment to safeguarding associations' tax-protected status. The NSSGA thanks the committee for introducing this bill and encourages the Ways and Means Committee and the House of Representatives to pass this package in a timely manner. The 60 Plus Association chairman of this beautiful organization, Jim Martin, is the gentleman. It's a win for seniors across the country. The president and the House Republicans are providing much needed tax relief to middle and low income seniors. And we see that entrance there to the West Wing, adorned with the American flag and the seal of the President of the United States. We'll see him come out those doors shortly as we're talking about the details, those really encouraging this other bill that is being dialogued and debated in the House and soon to be the Senate, the Big Beautiful Bill, Association of Mature American Citizens Action Senior Vice President Andrew J. Mangione Jr. mentioning that this bill is a win for seniors, for taxpayers, and for the future of our country. We urge swift passage and full support from lawmakers who value liberty, accountability, and the financial security of AMAC members across the country. Rate Coalition Executive Director Dan Combs. This legislation is a clear step toward preserving a tax code that spurs job creation, boosts wages, and builds on the legacy created by President Trump and Congress under the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act. Now is the time for Congress to come together, finish the work, and deliver a strong, stable economic foundation for American workers and businesses. A competitive corporate tax rate is key to keeping the U.S. ahead and a top destination for investment in the global economy. This bill goes a long way towards making that possible. Uber CEO, you might have heard of that organization there, Uber, Dara Khosrowshahi, we've seen said from the start, no tax on tips should include Uber drivers and the couriers. Grateful the new House Ways and Means bill does just that. Thank you to President of the United States Donald Trump and Representative Jason Smith for backing all tipped workers, no matter how they work. Let's get this done. And I can remember my time in the service industry. So much of that at times can be pool tips, or you have to give some of that to the back of the house, specifically with restaurants. And to have those taxes, if you're driving for Uber, for example, they could take a huge portion away from the money they should be taking home. So this is a victory for those who are in the service industry. DoorDash CEO Tony Zhu, thanks to POTUS and Representative Jason Smith, millions of Dashers may soon get a tax break on their hard-earned tips. Following advocacy from 40,000 Dashers, including dozens in D.C. last week, the House's budget bill is an important step in making the hashtag no tax on tips a reality. And I remember when we were on the campaign trail and that was announced in State 48, beautiful Arizona, in Tucson, in fact, where that was disclosed by President Trump to get rid of taxes on tips. Great policy for the working class, especially in Arizona, Nevada, and throughout our beautiful country. Thank you to the sponsors here on the right side of history, Colonial Metals Group, your go-to experts. Paul Stone, the CEO, has been on the show detailing how important it is with the actions of the Chinese Communist Party, whether that be against Taiwan with their war games or trying to buy up prime farmland here in the United States around our military installations. President Trump and Republican governors putting an end to that. But remember that spy balloon under AutoPen? My goodness, how ridiculous was that, from Montana down to South Carolina until it went down. There's antics going around that affect your pocketbook and your wallet at the end of the day. So freegoldguide.com/RSBN, your no obligation guide to financial security. And that can be done with properties, assets, a 401k or IRA, which I'm sure many of you, the viewers, have. But do you have tangible gold and silver that have stood the test of time against all governments, regardless of who's in charge? Back in 1971, the Nixon administration going off of the gold standard. Since then, gold has skyrocketed over 7,000%. And there is no better business in the country than Colonial Metals Group to deal with these matters. Listen to people like Warren Buffett taking money out of the stock market and putting it in tangible gold and silver. So see how that can be your move in your portfolio today, tomorrow, and for the rest of your life to earn those important savings now. Colonial Metals Group, thank you for sponsoring us. freegoldguide.com/RSBN, your must for no obligation gold and silver advice. Also, thank you to allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN. President Trump recently signing a powerful executive order to lower prescription drug prices across the country, a major step in the fight for affordable health care. But while the systems drag its feet, one pharmacy is not waiting. That's allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN. Stepping up now to support that vision to put control back into your life, into your hands of the American people, with a summer sale running through the end of June. Right now, you can get 20% off site-wide. No insurance needed. This company works with licensed doctors in all 50 states and gets your prescriptions shipped fast and directly to your door. Whether it's ordering ivermectin, hydrochloroquine, the methylene blue, antibiotics, emergency medical kits, and daily medications, it's now time to stack up. In fact, over 200 medications available here at allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN with code RSBN20. Head over there today. If you believe in medical freedom and being prepared for what's ahead, this is the pharmacy for you. Code RSBN20, that's RSBN20 for 20% off your order. Take control of your health today. Let's make America healthy again with allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN. And there's a live look now in the Rose Garden as we await President Trump, who will be signing the Take It Down Act, part of the Be Best initiatives presented for and led by our glorious First Lady Melania Trump, working overtime in her office to make America safe again. No minor should have to go through what took place in Texas, in Minnesota, in Virginia, really throughout our country with these deep fake images on pornographic materials. In some cases, high school students not only had this distributed to them, but it hurt their reputation, it harmed their access and acceptance into colleges and universities across the country. In some cases, they could not get a job because of what took place here with these erroneous deepfakes. And Senator Ted Cruz of Texas and Senator Amy Klobuchar on the left side of history coming together in order to make America safe again. You might remember Melania Trump, our great First Lady, leading an effort with Congress to pass this legislation. And President Trump announcing it just a day later at that joint session of Congress on March 5th of this year, saying that he will sign this if it became that act which led to legislation. So an incredible effort on the part of House and Republican and Democrat senators all coming together, both chambers of Congress, in order to pass this Take It Down Act. President Trump moments away from signing it now. This Take It Down Act was a priority of First Lady Melania Trump and the Be Best initiative, which passed Congress in the first 100 days of the Trump administration. And this is after Mrs. Trump gave momentum and support to this specific bill. Prior to its passage, Mrs. Trump held a Capitol Hill roundtable on online protection and the Take It Down Act on March 3rd of 2025 with members of Congress, survivors of non-consensual intimate imagery, families, and advocates for online protections. The following night, the president mentioned the bill to address in a joint session of Congress. So the First Lady continued to engage with members of Congress post that first week of March, and throughout its passage to the final passage of the committee and the entire House of Representatives on April 28th of this year. As we get some live shots there, members of the cabinet, there's Georgia's own Doug Collins, former representative in the Rose Garden, getting ready for everything on hand. Many staff members and also members of the press awaiting President Trump and First Lady Melania Trump. And I love when the American flags are just lined up along the Rose Garden, and First Lady Melania Trump doing some revisions to the Rose Garden as well to make it even more beautiful than it is right now. And it is one of the most lovely items and spots at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue on clearly a beautiful day, getting near to the 3 o'clock hour on the East Coast and high noon on the West Coast. I'm Robert McNeely. Thank you for joining Right Side Broadcasting Network Live. This is your go-to live desk of everything inside and outside of the Beltway. Your 47th President of the United States, Donald Trump. Your 50th Vice President, J.D. Vance. And the 119th Congress under a microscope, but we like to do that here because it's all about transparency and for you, the American people, to make up your mind about how you feel on the most pressing issues at hand in this administration, as we see Director of the FBI, Kash Patel, walking in today and always looking fly, always looking good. Kash Patel making those much needed reforms as the former director. You might have saw last Friday that bizarre Instagram post by James Comey saying 8647 and said, I stepped upon interesting seashells today. And we know that's code for taking out. It's even code back in the restaurant lingo of, hey, 86 this, it means we don't have it anymore. It's gone, it's out, it's bye-bye. Why would James Comey retruth, retweet, or post on Instagram or any social media 8647 in seashells? It's bizarre, and it sounds like an investigation is forthcoming. He later apologized for it, but it's really a little bit too late. You don't apologize for threatening the President of the United States, something that could potentially be a major crime. So we'll be keeping our eyes on that as we now have an FBI director who is serving the American people and ultimately truly serving the great agents of an amazing organization, people who put their lives on the line on a daily basis for you, for me. Fidelity, bravery, integrity, that's what it's supposed to be. And sadly, because of people like Christopher Wray and James Comey, there was that dark cloud over the agency for a number of years now, clouded in secrecy, bureaucratic nonsense, and deep state globalism. But it's nice to see that although he does wear quite a nice suit, you don't have a suit per se just sitting at the top there. You have someone who has worked with law enforcement, someone who is willing to go on the raids with colleagues like Pam Bondi, the AG, also Kristi Noem at DHS, Tom Homan doing an amazing job on the border. All of them have been in those early morning raids, 2, 3, 4 in the morning, to support those law enforcement members, local, state, and federal, on the ground to secure the American people and to bring constitutional governance back to you, as we see there Secretary Duffy also in the Rose Garden anticipating this much needed bill signing that is quite bipartisan. So more winning as we go into the second set of 100 days of this administration. It's nonstop win, 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 fight, fight, fight. Don't back down, as President Trump reminded those great graduates of the University of Alabama to keep fighting, keep that momentum going. We see it every day as Secretary Burgum comes in the House there, Attorney General Pam Bondi and Secretary Kristi Noem. It's great to have a cabinet that not only is so good on media and hosting and speaking truth to power, but also working hard every day for the American people. Subject matter experts, something that was lacking in the last administration of the auto pen. Thank you to our sponsors. The right side of history, Brightcore. You might have caught earlier in the broadcast, we had that playback of a great interview today by my colleague, Mr. Matthew Alvarez, interviewing Ms. Kim Bright, the CEO, founder of the Made in the USA Kimchi One Brightcore, their best product here, gut health, immune support, anti-aging properties. Call today, do not delay, 888-722-0936, and you receive 50% off your order. If you can't get somewhere quiet to call or just don't have time to get on the phone today, you could get a 25% off code with code RSBN. Visit mybrightcore.com/RSBN. Really all of health in the mind and getting you through the sluggish thing you might be feeling right now, and it's 3 o'clock in the afternoon, sometimes tired at work, yawning, you want to go home. This will get you through that because all health starts in the gut. Tried it myself. It's really a great supplement to add to your breakfast routine or even later on in the evening. So Brightcore, Made in the USA, Kimchi One. Thank you to our sponsors on the right side of history. Visit mybrightcore.com/RSBN. And it is 3 o'clock on the East Coast, high noon on the West Coast. Welcome to RSBN Live. Thank you for tuning in on this beautiful Monday, May 19th, 2025, as we are awaiting President Trump and First Lady Melania Trump for a bill signing today. And I always enjoy seeing who's in the crowd today, whether it be staff members to those members of the cabinet and members of the press in the Rose Garden, ready for this historic signage of the Take It Down Act. This was a bill supported heavily by none other than our wonderful First Lady, who has worked very hard with the Be Best initiative, which passed Congress in the first 100 days of the Trump administration after Mrs. Trump gave momentum and support to this bill, the Take It Down Act. Prior to its passage, Mrs. Trump held a Capitol Hill roundtable on online protection and Take It Down Act on March 3rd of this year with members of Congress, survivors of non-consensual intimate imagery, families, and advocates for online protection. The following night, of course, President Trump supporting the legislation and mentioned the bill in his address to a joint session of Congress. The First Lady continued to engage with members of Congress on the bill throughout its passage in the House Energy and Commerce Committee on April 9th of this year and its final passage in the United States House of Representatives on April 28th of 2025. Very bipartisan. You had Senator Ted Cruz and also Senator Amy Klobuchar leading the way of that. And speaking of Senator Cruz, he is there now. Senator Cornyn of Texas as well. Jamieson Greer also shaking hands with members of the cabinet. This is some premier legislation from the Texas Tiger himself, Ted Cruz. We like to see him out and about, and he sports a beard almost as good as our vice president. Nice to see the beard coming back. And there is Secretary Kelly Loeffler as well, another proud Georgian. Georgia proud, many great Georgians who have worked hard over time, making America healthy again, strong again, safe again, and ultimately great again as the cabinet comes together for this historic bill signing, as well as members of Congress and members of the press. And there is Mr. Doug Burgum, a great secretary in his own right, and was North Dakota's governor as of recent and ran for president himself. A good friend of President Trump's and one of those who was on the short list for VP. But what a team that he has brought together at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, a team of Republicans, Democrats, independents, many former Democrats as well, including President Trump once being a Democrat himself. But we know it's not so much R and D anymore. It's more of we the people versus a bureaucratic, deep state, globalist league of shadows, as I like to call it. That's a nod to DC Comics and, of course, the best there ever was, Batman, what he had to take on. It's very similar to what President Trump has had to take on. And if you saw those memes from the first term, that always gave me a chuckle. But truth and comedy, something President Trump uses, and I'm sure we'll hear on this Monday afternoon from the Rose Garden today with that beautiful seal of the presidency. And someone, I forgot who posted it, but remember the meme from 2017, and they compared President Trump to Bruce Wayne because he's up all night working crazy hours, and they said, you know, being a billionaire and a philanthropist and a great businessman with incredible business prowess. Is he Bruce Wayne? So I thought that was rather clever, and I've seen it somewhat shared around during this post-first 100 days, but there has been no administration that has moved faster than this one. There has been no administration that has been so transparent, perhaps since the days of Abraham Lincoln, when he kept the front door open to the White House and instructed his staff to allow people to come on in and make their appointment to come in and sit down with the president. Back then, we did not have the West Wing attached. You just had the executive mansion, which you can see a sliver of right there to your right on the screen. And that is the 45-second walk. President Trump comes down either the steps or an escalator from the residence down to that first floor, and he walks across that there. Behind are the American flags, turns a sharp left, and then goes up to the Oval Office and the West Wing. And I've had the privilege of standing there, walking that 45-minute ramp with my former college roommate. Actually, you saw him on Friday when I was celebrating my anniversary of graduation from my alma mater, and Special Assistant Richard Chalky doing an amazing job himself there at the White House. I always look to see in the audience if he is there today. I don't see him, but it's always a little bit tough with the back of heads there in the Rose Garden. But we look forward to seeing President Trump and First Lady Melania Trump participating in the Take It Down Act bill signing. And it looks like he'll be coming out of those doors there. And I think that's a shot there. That might be Sunny Joy Nelson, who's also on the press team, doing an amazing job. Press and communications, outstanding work that they are doing at the Oval Office at the West Wing right there, working hand in hand with Caroline Leavitt as our great press secretary, Stephen Chung, the communications director, and their staffs doing just an extraordinary job, working overtime to get the real truth out there to you, the American people, and doing it in new ways with things like whitehouse.gov/new media to apply to get into that room, the James S. Brady briefing room, to ask questions to not only the press experts, but your elected representatives and the cabinet of the United States. If you're just joining us, I'm Robert McNeely. Always a joy to be with you on the right side of history. The Take It Down Act was a priority of First Lady Melania Trump's Be Best initiative. So this started back in the first term, the Be Best initiative. And this Take It Down Act passed Congress in the first 100 days of the Trump administration after Mrs. Trump gave momentum and support to the bill. First ladies can be involved in this, and she's done an extraordinary job to work in a bipartisan manner to save and protect those most vulnerable online. Prior to its passage, Mrs. Trump held a Capitol Hill roundtable, an online protection and Take It Down Act on March 3rd of this year, with members of Congress, survivors of non-consensual intimate imagery, and families and advocates for online protection. Listening to the stories of these people, really gut-wrenching, heartbreaking, because these are wounds that are not necessarily healed, but these, especially the minors who are exploited, working hard to make sure it doesn't happen to anyone else. And this is what this legislation, this act, addresses. Now, President Trump mentioned the bill in his address to a joint session of Congress just the next day, the following night, on March 4th of 2025. And the First Lady continued to engage with members of Congress on this bill throughout its passage in the House Energy and Commerce Committee on April 9th and its final passage in the United States House of Representatives on April 28th of this year. And we're thankful to Congress. We're thankful for those moments where they can work together. Sometimes it seems rare, sometimes it seems slow, but regardless of R or D next to the name, some things are just right to do. And this is why Senator Ted Cruz of Texas and Senator Amy Klobuchar came together, among many other leaders in Congress, on Capitol Hill to get this done with the leadership of First Lady Melania Trump and having the ear of her glorious husband, 47th President of the United States, making this a top priority in his administration. And you can see that's the case because there are countless cabinet members who are in that front row today, along with staff members and several members of the in-town White House press pool to cover all of this for you, the American people. And we're happy to cover it here on the right side of history because at the end of the day, we want you to make up your mind about your government, the one you installed back on November 5th of last year, one that was committed to making America healthy again, making America wealthy again, making America strong again, making America safe again, and ultimately making America great again. And we see it every day in real time, as it's a pleasure to cover all of this for you, the American people, on the right side of history. Let's go to the big, beautiful bill, which we've been covering today as well, with business leaders around the country just sharing and glowing measures why this will work for the American people. Concerned Veterans for America Executive Director John Vick saying failing to extend President Trump's tax cuts and Jobs Act would impose the largest tax hike in U.S. history on American families and businesses. Congress must seize its opportunity to protect our long-term prosperity while improving the lives of middle-class Americans. The American people sent a clear message last November. They are tired of massive tax hikes, higher prices, reckless government spending, and Biden-era Green New Deal giveaways. Congress must answer this call by moving budget reconciliation forward. As veterans, we fought for a better future for our fellow Americans. We also understand that a strong economy is the bedrock of American strength at home and abroad. Today, CVA calls on Congress to act to protect and prioritize the long-term growth and the economic prosperity of all Americans. The Libre Initiative, that's Libre, Executive Director Sandra Benitez, we commend the House Budget Committee for taking a positive step to ensure that we continue extending tax relief to middle-class families and job creators, including Latinos who cannot afford a tax hike. Now is a critical time that the House of Representatives has a full vote on this important legislation for this pro-growth agenda to help unleash prosperity and opportunity for all. The Libre Initiative looks forward to educating and activating the Latino community on the benefits of this critical legislation. The America First Policy Institute, otherwise known as AFPI, conservatives must deliver to the American people. There is a mandate. The One Big Beautiful Bill cuts taxes for all Americans, secures the border, stands up to the woke mob by empowering parents and protecting women and children, and much, much more. As we see there, the speech looks like it is out on the podium, and President Trump's staff preparing for his remarks momentarily. Stick with us here on the right side of history as our Rose Garden, just outside of the Oval Office, is decorated with big, beautiful American flags. And how great is that to see on this sunshiny day, Monday, May 19th, 2025, the Rose Garden of your government, your house, the White House. A beautiful thing to watch all of that, as we hope you are able to donate to the right side of history at RSBN. If you text that to 801-801, we'd be honored to have your shared dollars, because that guarantees prosperity in the new media. It guarantees us bringing you this unbridled access to the American people. It literally keeps the lights on. Thank you, Mr. Producer, for that. And that's very true, because we have to keep going in all of this process to bring you the truth, because sadly, some outlets, some in the lame stream, as the late, great Rush Limbaugh would talk about, They don't want to do that. They have an agenda. They have a globalist, deep state, League of Shadow mission to stop you on the right side of history. Well, we don't. We want to bring all of that to you. As you see there live, Susie Wiles, the Chief of Staff, the first female Chief of Staff to a president, and Scott Bessent, the Treasury Secretary. Wow, what a great job he has done negotiating against those Chinese communist counterparts to have this 90-day memorandum and moratorium on the tariffs, bringing it down to that 10% bottom line. I believe that's Nancy Mace there as well, the great congresswoman from South Carolina, that beautiful state of South Carolina, the Palmetto State. It's a beautiful one for sure, hugging Scott Bessent, who did a great job negotiating all of that in Switzerland before joining President Trump to tour the Gulf states in the Middle East. That was one for the ages. Trillions and trillions of dollars last week pouring into the United States. Hundreds of thousands of jobs coming in as a result of that. As everyone is standing in the Rose Garden, that means President Trump and First Lady Melania Trump coming out to participate in the Take It Down Act bill signing. They're live now for you outside of the Oval Office in the Rose Garden. We'll toss it there so you can get all of the action.
Welcome to the White House. It's an honor to join you here today for the signing of the Take It Down Act, a national victory that will help parents and families protect children from online exploitation. This legislation is a powerful step forward in our efforts to ensure that every American, especially young people, can feel better protected from their image or identity being abused through non-consensual or intimate imagery of I and CII. Artificial intelligence and social media are the digital candy for the next generation. Sweet, addictive, and engineered to have an impact on the cognitive development of our children. But unlike sugar, these new technologies can be weaponized, shape beliefs, and sadly affect emotions and even be deadly. Over the past few months, I have met with brave survivors, deeply loving families, and caring advocates who know firsthand the emotional and psychological toll of NCII and deepfake abuse. Alliston Berry stood boldly for change, despite the risk posed to her and her family by speaking out and making her voice heard. Alliston, your voice and the voices of so many like you made this bill a national priority. Many thanks to members of Congress, both parties, for passing this legislation, including Speaker Johnson, Senator Cruz, Senator Klobuchar, Congresswoman Salazar, Congresswoman Dean, and Congressman Guthrie, and so many more. Thank you all for coming together to prioritize people over politics. As First Lady, my Be Best initiative is focused on improving children's well-being, encouraging kindness, and creating a safer online environment for our youth. Today, I'm proud to say that the values of Be Best will be reflected in the law of the land. I want to thank my husband, President Trump, for standing with us on this effort. His signature on this new law is not where our work ends on this issue. Now we look to the Federal Trade Commission and the private sector to do their part. Today, through the Take It Down Act, we affirm that the well-being of our children is central to our future, of our families, and America. Now it is my pleasure to introduce the President. Thank you.
You want to sit down?
Yeah.
Send the gentleman. Nobody knew that. Great job. That was a great job. Well, I want to thank everybody. We just spent 2.5 hours talking to Vladimir Putin, and I think some progress has been made. It's a terrible situation going on over there. 5,000 young people every single week are being killed. So hopefully we did something. We also spoke to the heads of most of the European nations, and we're trying to get that whole thing wrapped up. What a shame that it ever started in the first place. But I want to thank Melania and for your leadership in this very important issue. It's an amazing issue. America is blessed to have such a dedicated and compassionate First Lady. I would tell you she is very dedicated. In fact, if you look at just what I heard, Putin just said they respect your wife a lot. I said, what about me? No, they like Melania better. That wasn't good. I don't know if that was good. I'm okay with it. I'm okay. I also want to congratulate the First Lady in securing $25 million in the first fiscal year, 2026, budget to provide housing and support for youth transitioning out of the foster care. And I can say that she loves children, and you really worked very hard on this, and you had a lot of help from some friends of mine right here, and a lot of the senators are here and congressmen, and I appreciate you all being here. We're also grateful to be joined by people that are just in love with what we're doing. It's such an important situation, and commissioners of the Federal Trade Commission and the CEO of X, Linda Yaccarino. Where are you, Linda? Where are you, Linda? Thank you. Thank you, Linda. Stand up. Thank you, Linda. Great job. You're doing a great job. It's a big deal, right? That's great. Today, it's my honor to officially sign the Take It Down Act into law. It's a big thing, very important, so horrible what takes place. This will be the first ever federal law to combat the distribution of explicit, imaginary, posted without subject's consent. They take horrible pictures, and I guess sometimes even make up the pictures, and they post it without consent or anything else. And very importantly, this includes for forgeries generated by artificial intelligence known as deepfakes. We've all heard about deepfakes. I have them all the time, but nobody does anything. I asked Pam, can you help me, Pam? She says, no, I'm too busy doing other things. Don't worry, you'll survive. But a lot of people don't survive. That's true, and so horrible. With the rise of AI image generation, countless women have been harassed with deepfakes and other explicit images distributed against their will. This is the wrong, and it's just so horribly wrong. And it's a very abusive situation, like in some cases people have never seen before. And today we're making it totally illegal. Thank you. Upon hearing the stories of so many women affected, our First Lady made stopping these abuses a top priority, and she was given tremendous support because she'd go up to people and talk about it. They say, yeah, we know about it. We have the problem. Can we do something? And she did something about it with the help of a lot of the people, especially the political people sitting here today. Among Melania's guests in the gallery during my address to the joint session of Congress was a 15-year-old young person, Elliston Berry, whose image was turned into an illicit deepfake by a peer. Elliston, where are you? Are you around? Stand up, darling. That's fine. Beautiful. Great. Thank you. It's fantastic. Ellison quickly became a powerful advocate committed to preventing other girls from suffering the same abuse. Elliston, we salute you and we thank you very much, and it's an honor to have you with us today. Great job you've done. Also with us are several other brave Americans whose lives were rocked by online harassment, including Francesca Manny, as well as a South Carolina State Representative, Brandon Guffey, and his family, who have lost their son to suicide after he was targeted in an internet extortion scam, of which you have a lot of them, a lot. I want to thank you both for your incredible work and to reach this important day. Could you stand up, please? Thank you. Thank you very much. Great job. I've read about it. Thank you very much. It's a real honor to have you here, because there's no place like the White House, I found out. You know, you have a lot of places, and I just left some of the richest places, and we loved them, and they gave us a nice contribution of about $5 trillion, but this is a special place. Even they talk about it, so it's great to have everybody here. Under the law, I will sign in just a moment. Anyone who intentionally distributes explicit images without the subject's consent will face up to 3 years in prison. In addition, this law establishes new civil liabilities for online platforms that refuse to take these images down promptly upon request. We will not tolerate online sexual exploitation, and especially it's gone on at levels that nobody's ever seen before. It's getting worse and worse, and I think this is going to hopefully stop it. And not easy to do. People talked about all sorts of First Amendment, Second Amendment. They talked about any amendment they could make up, and we got it through because of some very brave people, including some very brave politicians in the audience. I want to thank the bill's sponsor, Senator Ted Cruz. Ted, stand up, please. Great. Thank you, Ted. It's great. Very effective person. And Congresswoman Maria Salazar, friend of mine. Thank you, Maria. Thank you very much for their amazing work. And thanks also to the 99 senators and 408 members of Congress who voted in favor of the bill. Wow, I wish we could get that vote from other things. We have another bill coming up. Do you think we'll get that vote? Maybe not. We should, but we probably won't. But working with our First Lady, we've shown that bipartisanship is still possible. That's true. With 99 senators, that's incredible. Senators, stand up. Look at that. John, you're here. Look at all of the senators. This is big stuff. I'm in trouble because I don't have your names. They didn't give me these names. We have so many. We have half of the Senate here. Now they're all going to hate me because I can't introduce you. We don't have the time for that. I have to get back to Putin and people. But thank you very much for being here, all of you, and congressmen, a lot of them, and women. Working with our First Lady, though, we've shown that bipartisanship is possible. I mean, it's the first time I've seen such a level of bipartisanship, and it's a beautiful thing to do. I'm not even sure you realize, honey, you know, a lot of the Democrats and Republicans don't get along so well. You've made them get along, and she didn't even know about that. She didn't know we had a problem. She didn't know we had a problem. She got it. But I want to thank you, honey. You've done amazing that this was done when you started. And I said, I don't know, it sounds like a tough one, and yet a very important one, and you got it done. So I congratulate you, and I congratulate Ted, Maria, everybody. Thank you very much. Thank you. And we'll sign the bill. Thank you. Come on around. That's beautiful. Come on around. Hey, look at that.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. You did it. We're out of our got it. Thank you.
Thanks for your leadership. Made this happen. So thank you.
I know. Thanks, Maria. That's fantastic. Okay, you ready? Okay, honey, are you signing something? You want to sign it anyway? Come on, sign it anyway. She deserves to sign it. Okay, there we have it.
There we are.
That's a big one. Thank you very much, everyone. And you have some pens here. You most importantly, right? Grab one of them. Oh, look at these white pens. I've never seen that before. I want one of them. I've never seen it. Here, Pamela, take that. Take that. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you so much for signing it.
Okay. Thank you, everyone. You go ahead.
Mr. President, let me introduce you to Brandon, who lost his son, Gavin.
Let me get up.
He's a state legislator in South Carolina. He's been incredibly brave, and his whole family. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
until the President and the First Lady have departed the Rose Garden. Thank you.
The Take It Down Act now officially law thanks to President Trump signing that. Also, First Lady Melania Trump on hand to introduce her husband and also signed right below his signature, and I think well-deserved because of the work she put into this. Also surrounded by Senator Ted Cruz, also the South Carolina state legislator who sadly lost his son to suicide because of this. And may America's children be safe and safeguarded, as our wonderful First Lady mentioned that this is the kind of stuff that could be more addicting than candy, and some of the stuff that our minors have to put up with now. AI and technology, all beautiful things that can advance human relations and the human experience, but there's also a dark side to it. And it will be good now for the perpetrators that spread this content online without consent. There will be justice. And again, this administration working overtime for you, the American people. The Take It Down Act now officially law in the United States. Thank you to our sponsors here on the right side of history. Colonial Metals Group, our freegoldguy.com/RSBN will detail all of that for you. Or you can scan the QR code there now to shield your savings. Great patriots like Judge Jeanine Pirro, who will be serving in D.C. as the top attorney for the federal government under President Trump's appointment, endorses this great group. So do we here at the right side of history, because Paul Stone lays it out well for all of you. The great CEO of this organization, Colonial Metals Group, wants you to secure your savings today. So freegoldguy.com/RSBN. Scan the QR code now, your go-to for financial freedom. Thank you to allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN. With code RSBN20, 20% off your order right now. This is the pharmacy working overtime for you. Pay less for prescription medications, over 200 in fact, that could be in your medicine cabinet. God forbid there's an emergency or a disaster or the lights go off. You have a pharmacy right there for you that will ship it to your doorstep within 24 hours. Ivermectin, hydrochloroquine, methylene blue, all of those essentials to protect you against anything that might harm your family. Allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN. Thank you for your sponsorship, and mypillow.com/RSBN. The Giza Dream Sheet Sale, all bed sheets, only $49.98, any color, any size. Code RSBN, call today and do not delay, 800-836-7566, mypillow.com/RSBN. Thank you to Mike Lindell and for his patriot prowess and his great professionalism all the way up in Minnesota. Also, if you like what you see here with the live desk, this was once your rally network. It's now your go-to live desk for everything President Trump, Vice President Vance, inside and outside of the Beltway, and monitoring the 119th Congress, all working for you, the American people. Text RSBN to 801-801 or visit rsbnetwork.com/donate. We don't edit or get rid of any of the content here when we come to you. As you just saw, President Trump's full bill signing. Also, the speeches by our First Lady, by the President, the Vice President's comments on the press gaggle. We go there live for you so you can absorb all of the great information that's out there and keep tabs on the government that should be working for you. And we know that this MAGA administration is nonstop doing that at a rapid breakneck pace. And of course, Auburn, Alabama, beautiful university. Once again, congratulations to the 2025 graduates of Auburn University. It's the SEC, it just matters more. But wherever you're graduating from across this great land of ours, congratulations. Keep that momentum going. Don't quit. And come on visit College and Magnolia, this great corner, beautiful spot on campus. And right there as you walk through that Golden Gate right there, those lampposts, they teepee that during every victory, and it's just a lot of fun to see and partake in. And many of the visitors who come to campus do so as well after they get a lemonade from Toomer's Corner and some memorabilia of the Auburn Tigers. A great campus. I think the premier campus in all of the SEC and perhaps the nation. It's an honor to call RSBN's home right here in Auburn, Alabama, amongst real America. That's what I like to call it. It's outside the Beltway, covering inside of the Beltway for you and yours. Get all America First updates and exclusive offers at rsbnetwork.com/newsletter. A programming note, we'll be back with you tonight, 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time. President Trump will be attending a Kennedy Center dinner and roundtable. So we look forward to bringing you all of that unbridled access. So RSBN prime time tonight. Tune in roughly 3 hours from now. For all of my colleagues on the right side of history, I'm Robert McNeely. Have a lovely afternoon. Go grab a snack, maybe hit the gym, then come on back and enjoy some primetime RSBN tonight. We'll see you in a few.
Welcome to Right Side Broadcasting Network, your trusted conservative news outlet. At RSBN, we deliver the truth when the mainstream media falls short. Since 2015, we've proudly broadcasted every single one of President Trump's iconic MAGA rallies, bringing you the excitement and energy live before anyone else. By watching RSBN, you get an unfiltered front row view of the action on the ground. We interview the crowds to give a voice to millions of Americans just like you. We show you President Trump's speeches in their entirety, free from interruptions and censorship. We cover the stories that matter to you with the integrity and passion you deserve. Thank you for choosing RSBN as your home for America First News. Together, we stand strong, united, and informed. So join us and be part of the right side of history.
Hey y'all, it's Silk from the Diamond and Silk Chit Chat live show. Look, don't forget to check me out right here on RSBN Network. Be sure to watch the show on Right Side Broadcasting Network, and I want you to support Right Side Broadcasting Network. Yes, it's imperative that you do so, okay? I look to see y'all soon. Bye-bye.
To celebrate our newest launch, Rev 7, I'm bringing you an amazing introductory offer, plus an exclusive overstock sale that you're not going to want to miss. Rev 7 is our premium energy drink that tastes great and gives you energy all day with no jitters and no crashes. That's because there's no sugar and no caffeine. I'm so sure you're going to love Rev 7 that for a limited time you can try our 3-pack absolutely free. Or check out our Percale bed sheets. I can't believe I'm even going to say this. Every color, every style, every size, only $29.88. So go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to save 20% on our Rev 7 12-packs or try our introductory 3-pack absolutely free. And our Percale bed sheets, All sizes only $29.88, even the queens and kings. Inventory is extremely limited, so order now.